Home Affairs Minister Dr. Motsoaledi is today visiting Phaposane village near Ganyesa in the northwest. The minister is conducting an oversight visit, that is, in the Dr. Ruth Segomotsi Mompati district municipality to assist residents there who cannot get services from the department. Now, this visit comes after SABC News aired the story about residents who could not get birth certificates for their children and also did not receive their IDs and get social grants. Get you a sense of how this is all unfolding. Zebilon Maine is part of our team on the ground watching developments, and he joins us now live. It's the power of journalism, some might say, Zebilon, but what has the minister been able to find so far during his visit?
Yes, indeed, Ayanda. We are here in Ganyesa, basically in the offices of the tribal offices of Barolongbo, Tlolita, where Dr. Motsoaledi, the Minister of Home Affairs, was still getting a briefing. You'll remember that we ran some stories relating to identification, particularly in this area. You'll remember the first story. It was one of the lady in Bray who couldn't get her ID because she was married to somebody else she doesn't know. And also lately we ran the story about some community members in Phaposane who could not get services from the Department of Home Affairs. Now let me bring Dr. Motsoaledi, the Minister of Home Affairs, to come and tell us that what is it that he has seen thus far. Minister, thanks very much for joining us. You are here to come and conduct oversight in relation to the stories that the SABC ran. What have you seen and what have you identified?
Yeah, Zebilon, let me say this. When the SABC ran that story, I watched it. It so happened that I've got a program which started in August 2022, where I go from villages, especially rural villages, because those problems they were mentioning there are very common for rural villages for various reasons. And some of them are caused by a lack of knowledge of procedures in government. That's why I started in 2022, going to several municipalities, royal families, meeting chiefs, councillors, ministers of religion, social workers, to brief them about procedures so that they understand. And that's exactly what happened here. So when I saw your story on SABC, I cut off the program I was having and come here, because it's a program for the whole country. But I decided that let me go there because the problem has been raised publicly by SABC and solve that problem. And we sent in Home Affairs trucks, which have been here from Monday. They are going to spend the whole week here. And those people who appeared on SABC, their problems have been solved. Today they are in the community hall here. I'm going to be giving them their documents.
All right, Minister, we understand that even now, particularly in Dr. Ruth Segomotsi Mompati, we still have people who are over 60 years who don't have IDs. What can you say to those people?
No, they are all over the country. It's not only there in Dr. Ruth Mompati, it's all over the country where people are not yet documented. It's a problem of the African continent. Actually, to explain to you, on the African continent, we still have people who are born, they get married and they die, and it's not recorded anywhere. It is called the scandal of invisibility. The country that is number one on the continent in terms of registering people is Egypt. 98% of Egyptians are registered. South Africa is number two, but we are still at 89%, which means there's still 11%. Many of you saw the story of Thabo Bester. He was already 37 years, but without any document, no birth certificate, no ID. And then he only got them now after his story broke out. We still have such people. And part of the reason why I started this journey in 2022 with Home Affairs trucks is to bring that to an end. But it's still happening, not only in Dr. Ruth Mompati, as you're saying, all over. When I started the program in 2022, I went to a place called Matlereking, that is in Ephraim Mogale Municipality. I met a 64-year-old man who had nothing. He just arrived in the meeting and said, look, since he was born, it was never recorded anywhere. Now, they need to get into a program called LRB, Late Registration of Birth, which is a very, very difficult program. And it is what I'm going to explain to the people I'm going to address in the hall, because many of them don't understand it. They just tend to blame Home Affairs when some of the things can be avoided. And it's one of the reasons why Home Affairs has decided to open Home Affairs offices in hospitals to catch a person at source. Because babies are born in hospital, you can see their parents. Because some of them, by the time they come, they are already 15 years, they are 20 years, they are 64 years, as you're saying. And it becomes a big problem to run the program of LRB, and many of them don't know it. They believe you just march to Home Affairs and mention a name and say it's yours, and then we give you an ID or a birth certificate. We can't do that. Otherwise, it means anybody from any part of the world can just arrive and claim to be something, and we give them documents. Will you guys in SABC or will South Africa appreciate that? I guess not. So we have got to have procedures, and I'm here to explain those procedures.
Now, what about those who entered into marriage without their knowledge, and when they go to Home Affairs and seek services, they've been told that, no, you are married to so and so, and that makes them difficult to get services from Home Affairs and even to get SASSA grants and so on?
Those who are married falsely, we are able to detect it. Zebilon, we are. Because of the problems we are mentioning, Home Affairs always upgrades its systems. At the moment, we have got a system called BACAM, Biometric Access Control Movement. Any Home Affairs official who issues a document, be it a birth certificate, an ID, marriage certificate, death certificate, they are no longer using the methods that they used to use, like by weights. No, they are using a fingerprint to get into the National Population Register, to register that document. Now, with a fingerprint, we will know which official has issued it. That's number one. So if there's a marriage, we'll know that it was issued by this and that official who will explain. Now, because Home Affairs officials are scared to be caught with their fingerprint, many of them issue documents like a marriage certificate, which is not in the register, in the National Population Register. If it's not there, it's not a marriage at all. And so we'll just inform the person that you are free. This is not a marriage. But there are those, and I want to emphasize, and I'm going to say it in that hall, who married knowingly. And I'm repeating, they married knowingly, and they are lying that they never knew. Because they married knowingly with the belief, and a wrong belief, that the person who's marrying them, who's not a South African, is giving them money, and that person is going to get South African documents. Once the person gets South African documents and has paid the money, they come to Home Affairs and try to cancel the marriage. This is a registered marriage. It is there. We find their fingerprints, we found their signatures, we found their photos. So what do? The only way to end that marriage is to go to court and divorce, because it's a real marriage. It exists. It's only that you entered it wrongly, believing that it's easy just to cancel a marriage. And I tell people, we don't just cancel a marriage because you no longer want it. You must go to court and divorce. And many of them find it difficult to divorce because you need a lawyer. And divorce lawyers need a lot of money. We must go and convince the magistrate or the judge. So part of my visit is to explain to young people never to get in those type of marriage with the belief and hope that I will pressurize Home Affairs through SABC, that I was married without my knowledge and all that is Home Affairs and all that. Quite a number of them are actually lying. They knew what they were doing, but they thought it's easy.
Thank you very much. That is Dr. Motsoaledi, Minister of Home Affairs, as he has just explained that he's going to explain a number of issues to the communities here. And other than that, he's going to hand over some identity documents to those community members who were struggling to get those documents to Home Affairs offices. With that, back to you in studio.